Good evening, I am Tomas Guevara Calderon, and this is the channel Rewriting the Reality. Subscribe to this channel to be at the forefront of the recent discoveries made by the science community. In my last episode 127 I tested your knowledge about how the Bible was composed, and how its stories didn't match with today's scientific knowledge. So far, I have explained the nature of the universal consciousness, which is the best analogy that can be used to compare with the God's ideas in existence. Let me tell you also, that our scientific community is wrong in regard to the nature of consciousness, just as the religious community is wrong in believing that God is a being, or an extraterrestrial. Most people talk about the spirit, or the soul, and they cannot explain these terms either. I explained that the best word to describe both terms is the name, essence, because essentially, we are an aspect of the universal consciousness, which is everything that exists, physical or non-physical. The science community and the religious communities have acknowledged that they don't know what consciousness is. In today's episode number 128, I am going to debunk 4 theories about the nature of consciousness. I will start with Donald D. Hoffman, an American cognitive psychologist and popular science author, who has proposed intriguing theories related to consciousness. Let me briefly introduce 2 of his key ideas. Multimodal User Interface, MUI, Theory of Perception. Hoffman suggests that our perception of the physical world is akin to a user interface that our consciousness constructs. My first comment is that he is wrong. It is the reverse. It is a user interface that our perceptions mechanism constructs, which is not the same. According to MUI theory, our conscious experiences create all objects and properties of the physical world. In other words, consciousness precedes and shapes our perception of reality. My second comment is that he is almost right, but it's our perceptions mechanism that creates all objects, including our thoughts. This view challenges the conventional notion that brain activity causes conscious experience. Instead, Hoffman proposes that consciousness itself drives brain activity. My third comment is that he is right, but he needs to explain it better because our mind, which is the aspect of consciousness that we can call an aspect personality, as mentioned by Seth during the 1970s, is what drives our brain and our body. I suggest you watch the episode 117. By adopting this converse perspective, he aims to address the hard problem of consciousness, which deals with why we have conscious experiences and how they arise from non-sentient matter. Conscious realism. Working with collaborators, Hoffman developed the Fitness Beats Truth (FBT) theorem. The FBT theorem posits that during the course of evolution, organisms whose perceptual apparatus is tuned for fitness, i.e., reproductive success, tend to outperform organisms tuned to perceive reality accurately. Essentially, our perceptual systems prioritize fitness over truth. This implies that our perceptions may not necessarily reflect objective reality but are shaped by what enhances our chances of survival and reproduction. My last comment is that he is completely wrong in describing FBT and the conscious realism. Hoffman's ideas challenge our traditional understanding of consciousness and invite us to explore alternative perspectives, and that is excellent because all that we must do is understand how our perceptions mechanism works, which I explained in episodes 5 and 6 more than a year ago. Then we have another supposed expert, Nick Lane, a British biochemist. He proposed 2 intriguing theories on the origin of life and the emergence of consciousness. His ideas often revolve around the role of energy and matter in biology, particularly focusing on the function of mitochondria. Lane suggests that the complex processes within mitochondria, such as the electron transport chain and the Krebs cycle, are not only crucial for life but may also have a role in consciousness. My first comment here is that he is completely wrong. Consciousness is the main role in any type of life, even what we consider to be inert, like our rocks, that are made of links of consciousness and therefore they are alive too. In his book Life Ascending, Lane discusses the concept of consciousness from an evolutionary perspective. He explores the idea that consciousness could be an emergent property of the physical processes within the brain, particularly within the mitochondria. Lane's theory posits that changes in mitochondrial membrane potential might be linked to the subjective experience of feeling. This perspective aligns with the view that consciousness arises from the brain's physical and chemical processes, rather than being a separate, non-physical entity. My second comment here is that all of this is a complete nonsense. Lane's work delves into the deep history of life and the gradual development of complexity, suggesting that the origins of consciousness can be traced back to the earliest forms of life and their metabolic processes. His theories contribute to the ongoing scientific discourse on how consciousness might arise from the intricate interplay of biological systems. The problem with all this nonsense is that, on YouTube there are hundreds of channels, like the Lex Fridman podcast, which are promoting explorations like these ones of Nick Lane's theories on consciousness. These resources provide only a deeper dive into inaccurate information that only expand our devaluation and confuse people, inducing false thoughts on how life's fundamental processes could give rise to the phenomenon of consciousness, when in fact is the universal consciousness and we as an aspect of consciousness that we create everything. Now, we can get rid of 4 theories that don't make sense and which have contributed to perpetuating the so-called hard problem, which I resolve in episodes 5 and 6. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and remember that you can get my books on Amazon.com and that you can always contact me at the email address provided in my last videos.